For the Doom review, we're going to keep it quick because the game was fast-paced and the review deserves to be fast-paced. There's no reason why other shooters have not been able to replicate this in the last 20 years. It has honestly been since probably Halo 1 redefined the genre that I really enjoyed a shooter as much as I enjoyed this one. All these games have lost some sort of luster from them with this idea to make it story based and to make it cover based and make you think about it. You should have death frequently, your ammo is running out at all times, and your health is always on the verge of dying. The challenge is barely staying alive, because that is when you feel like you're a real badass, when you're just better than the odds. When you can blow away all the competition without any sort of thinking about it, you just shoot a few rockets there, throw a few grenades there, and you're fine. That does not make you feel like a hero or some sort of special person. In this game, every single inch that you fight for feels fought for. It is a challenge through and through. And I don't know what these reviews are saying about running around the room in circles and shooting the BFG at this line of enemies behind you. That does not work if you play it on hard mode, which is the mode that I played it on. And I think it does this game a disservice to play on easy mode. Although there are extenuating circumstances, such as my brother will explain to you later, but for a person like any other gamer that has any sort of experience with the gamepad, take the death, take the challenge, treat this as though it was Dark Souls of the first person universe, and you will enjoy it immensely more. This game deserves to be played on a harder difficulty than you're used to. You have to be willing to die, because when Bethesda said and id said that this game was going to take 13 hours to complete, they weren't saying 13 hours on normal mode. It took me at least 15 to 16 hours to beat it on hard mode. Granted, I did go secret hunting and I read all of the codex entries and everything, which I think is a very important part of this game. It does take 13 to 15 hours to beat this game if you play it on the correct mode, and if you think of yourself as a gamer, you owe it to yourself to play it this way. This game does not hold your hand in the way that old Halos have. I always play Halos on heroic. It's legendary. I can do once I beat it one way through. And the first playthrough on heroic, I die a few times, but I usually get through it. This game feels like a challenge. There's no sitting in the back behind a rock and just waiting for your health to regenerate. There's none of that. They use the system that this game has set up to make it kinetic, fast-paced, and frenetic. Every moment that you're fighting in that game, you're fighting forward. You're never standing back. There's no sort of strategic retreats in this game. There's only strategic, charges into enemy combat. That's the way this game is meant to be played, and that's the universe that this game is trying to establish. This is a very brutal universe, and in every capacity they tell it to you. Even in the codexes, when they talk about your guy, they talk about how much of a badass he is, and that's a really important part of the universe actually. And I think if they had let it become a cover-based shooter, it would have been less than it really is. But this game, through and through, is the most fun I've had in a first-person shooter in a long time. Not just because the campaign is 13 hours long, not just because there's glory kills, but just all of it put together. From the first minute that you're playing to the last minute, you're the character that you're playing. He's a silent Doom Marine, and he's gonna kick everybody's ass, whether it's a demon or some sort of. I mean, they're all demons. You don't kill any humans in this game, but it's very, very, very on point for what I expected from this game, for what I wanted a Doom game to be. It was as fast and as crazy as you could possibly make a first-person shooter nowadays. And I do think it pays homage to the old games in an exceptionally fantastic way. It introduces new progression systems that are very good. Don't get me wrong. I really like the progression system. You feel much more powerful at the end of the game than you do at the beginning of the game. And that's not to say that just because you became better at it, your skills do get better, you get more health, you get more armor, your weapons get improved and everything like that. But not in an excessive way. As your skills improve, the enemies definitely improve along with them. You get more enemies thrown at you, you get new enemies thrown at you at a constant pace, and it's just always, always, always a blistering pace, whether you're upgrading your stuff on your character, which you can't save beforehand and do it. Every time you upgrade something, that's pretty much the decision that you made. Or whether it was, just missing a secret. Sometimes you miss a secret and that's it. The game plays minute to minute, and that's the way it should be. That's the thing that shooters nowadays are missing. There's no cutscenes cutting apart the action. If you want to slow it down and look for secrets, you can, which I do recommend. The secrets are really good, especially the old Doom levels. Those are fantastic to find in the middle of the levels. You gotta pull a lever and then you find them. But the secrets aren't too much. Once you kind of get the gist of how the secrets are presented to you, then you can find them pretty much in every level. I think I found 7 of the first of the original Doom levels just by understanding where all the levers were and everything. So I do think that you should play this game on hard every single time. Well, since this is a review and I can't just gush about the game, I need to tell you about any sort of little grievances I might have. My first and biggest grievance is that those Mancubus enemies, there's just too many of them. I understand they make it more difficult, but after a certain point, it was just, I would see them and they were kind of just bullet spongy by the end of the game. And as I've seen from The Division and as I've seen from Destiny and other games, bullet sponge enemies aren't exactly fun if they're just very simple. And those guys were simple. You just had to, just shoot a bunch at them and keep moving. I mean, I guess that was their purpose, but I felt like even just a different type of enemy that filled the same purpose would have been better by the end of the game. But those Mancubus guys, just way too much of them. As far as glitches are concerned, every once in a while in a glory kill, the enemy's body would get stuck in a wall or it would shoot just through the level and disappear. It wasn't that often, but since the campaign is so long, you do see it I saw it, I think 3 times, but it wasn't too bad. It was usually with the zombie guys, the unwilling. And I guess my final complaint would have to be on the Xbox, the graphics are very, very good. But every once in a while, when you're running up to something real close, it'll take a second to pop in or load, even when you're playing the single player campaign. So there's that. As far as the multiplayer goes, I think it's super fun. I think it's better than Call of Duty multiplayer. I think it's better than Halo multiplayer, or at least it's fresh. I know people are complaining about the what do you call them? The loadouts, but to me, the loadouts seem fine. They seem balanced. As long as you know where the things are on the map, I think it still feels pretty much like an arena. So I like it a lot. I think it's fresh, and I'm glad that somebody's kind of trying to bring out that arena shooter style. There's not different characters there. There's just a few basic loadouts, and I think it's good. So overall, honestly, I'd have to give this game a 9.0, considering the long single-player campaign, especially on hard mode. The story was much better than I expected, with a few surprises about the Marine and the other characters and everything that was going on. And I think it had a really good ending. And the graphics, I mean, even with that little bit of texture pop in, they were fantastic. I mean, that was just when I get my 1080, my GTX 1080, I'm definitely gonna buy this game again just to see how good the graphics are because they were good enough that they impressed me on the Xbox. So I can only imagine what it's gonna do on the 1080. And the music soundtrack, it was on point. It was easily as good as the Wolfenstein soundtrack. And pairing this game with Wolfenstein, I would say that this is the better game. In our review for Wolfenstein, we all agreed that it was too expensive for a game that just came out. But considering this game has the snap map feature, the multiplayer is fantastic, according to me. And the single player is heinously long. And if you unlock the original Doom levels and you play them on a decent difficulty, then you're gonna have a good time. I mean, it's the whole original Doom game, but played in modern day shooter mechanics that you saw in Doom. So I enjoyed those levels just as much as I enjoyed the new Doom levels, which I think is saying a bit. But all in all, 9.0, I think you should go get this game and just enjoy it and really play it on a harder difficulty. I think that's the main purpose of this game, is just to have a hard shooter, and I think everyone owes it to themselves to test themselves in a shooter. There's no hiding behind rocks or anything like that. So I died a lot, and that was what made it so fun, I think. So just give it a shot. This is Toro from the Moes Bros signing out. We should have some Total War Warhammer stuff coming in soon. Please subscribe to our YouTube page. Like this video, dislike this video, do whatever you want. Tell your friends, please. And we're going to be signing out. Have a good night. And one more thing.
say welcome back to the classic shooter.